Welcome back to my YouTube channel, where today we are diving deep into the fascinating world of numismatics and exploring the incredible history and value of the 1967 Lincoln penny, a coin that many people overlook but holds a significant place in American history and the evolution of coinage in the United States. This journey is not just about the metal or the minting, but about the era, the economy, the politics, the people, and the reasons behind the creation and characteristics of this particular penny. As we embark on this extensive exploration, we begin in the early 20th century when the Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 under the direction of President Theodore Roosevelt, who sought to beautify American coinage and add historical relevance to everyday currency. The Lincoln penny was the first regular issue U.S. coin to feature a real person and not just a symbolic figure. With Abraham Lincoln chosen to commemorate his 100th birthday and to reflect the strength, unity, and leadership he brought to the nation during its most divided era, the designer Victor David Brenner was a skilled sculptor and engraver who based his portrait of Lincoln on a photograph taken by Matthew Brady, one of the most famous Civil War photographers. The original design included Brenner's full initials VDB on the reverse of the 1909 coin, but due to public controversy, it was removed shortly after and replaced with a more modest placement on later issues. From the very beginning, the Lincoln penny was more than just currency. It was a political and cultural statement, and over the decades it underwent several changes both in composition and design, particularly during wartime periods when copper was diverted for military use, the most famous example being the 1943 steel penny minted during World War II. Fast forward to the mid-1960s, a time of transformation, turmoil, and technology in the United States. The country was experiencing the civil rights movement, the space race, and the escalation of the Vietnam War. These societal pressures were reflected in every aspect of American life, including its coinage. During this time, the U.S. Mint was under immense pressure to produce enough coins for a growing economy, while also dealing with rising costs in metals and inflation. The Coinage Act of 1965 had just passed, eliminating silver from dimes and quarters and introducing new clad compositions. The penny, however, remained copper, but with subtle changes to its composition and production methods. The year 1967 is crucial because it falls in the heart of this transitional period, and coins from this year carry not just historical but also potential collectible value. Now let us explore the physical characteristics of the 1967 Lincoln penny. It was minted at a time when the U.S. Mint had temporarily removed mint marks to prevent coin hoarding by collectors. As a result, all 1967 pennies were minted without any mint marks, even though production occurred at multiple facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The coin weighs 3.11 grams, is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, and features the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln, facing right on the obverse above his head. The inscription, "In God We Trust," appears to the left, is the word liberty, and to the right is the date, 1967. The reverse features the iconic Lincoln Memorial, which was added in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Replacing the original wheat ears that had graced the coin for 50 years above the memorial are the words United States of America and the phrase E pluribus unum and below. The memorial is the denomination 1 cent. The memorial reverse was designed by Frank Gasparo and offers a small but notable depiction of the seated Lincoln statue between the columns of the memorial, which is a detail that many overlook in casual examination of the coin. The 1967 penny is generally considered a common coin in circulated condition, but like many coins, its value increases significantly depending on its condition and whether any errors or varieties are present. Now let us delve into the production process and minting anomalies of the 1967 Lincoln cent. During the 1960s, coin production was heavily mechanized but still subject to quality control issues and die wear that could result in interesting errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and die clashes, among others. Collectors prize these errors for double dies off-center strikes, broad strikes, and die clashes, among others. Collectors prize these errors for their uniqueness and rarity, and some 1967 pennies with such anomalies have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the severity and clarity of the error. In particular, the double die obverse is one of the most sought-after varieties in the Lincoln Cent series, and while no major double die variety is officially recognized for 1967, minor doubling and machine doubling can still be found and are of interest to collectors with a keen eye. Another point of interest is the preservation and grading of Lincoln pennies. From this year, coins that remain in uncirculated condition, especially those graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, can fetch premium prices due to their sharp strike, luster, and minimal handling marks. Collectors and investors alike look for full red specimens which have retained their original coppery sheen as opposed to brown or red-brown examples, which indicate varying degrees of oxidation over time. It is also worth noting the coin market is dynamic, and the value of coins can rise or fall depending on demand, economic conditions, and the popularity of certain coin types or errors in the media and auction results in recent years. Online marketplaces and auction platforms have made it easier than ever to access coin sales data and track the going rates for high-grade 1967 pennies, as well as those with dramatic errors or proof-like qualities. Speaking of proof coins, it is important to clarify that 1967 saw the continuation of special mint sets instead of traditional proof sets due to a moratorium on proof coin production from 1965 to 1967 to deter hoarding. The U.S. Mint issued these special mint sets which offered higher quality strikes than regular business strikes, but not quite the mirror-like finishes of proofs. These SMS coins were struck using polished dies and show sharper details and better finishes than circulation coins, and while they are more abundant than traditional proofs, they are still valued for their uniqueness during this transitional period. The packaging of these sets also reflects the era, with simple government-issued plastic holders and cardboard inserts with minimal design in terms of historical context. The 1967 penny is emblematic of a nation undergoing rapid change and modernization. It serves as a numismatic window into the era's challenges and innovations, and even in its simplicity tells a story of adaptability, resilience, and the enduring legacy of Lincoln's image in American culture. Whether you are a new collector, a seasoned numismatist, or simply someone curious about the coins in your pocket, the 1967 Lincoln penny offers a fascinating case study in both monetary history and collectible value. As we continue this video, we will now look in more depth at population reports, auction results, and diagnostic tips for spotting high-value examples. We will also walk through some hands-on coin comparisons and demonstrate how to use a magnifier or USB microscope to detect subtle varieties and evaluate condition. Stay tuned as we continue uncovering the legacy of the 1967 Lincoln Cent in this comprehensive deep dive into American coinage. From the year 1990. This episode is a deep dive meant for collectors, enthusiasts, historians, and anyone curious about how a small silver coin can reflect the changing face of a nation. So sit back, get comfortable, and join me as we uncover the full story of the 1990 5-pence coin. The 5-pence coin is a denomination of currency used in the United Kingdom, and it is an essential part of the decimal system that was introduced in the early 1970s. The story of the 5-pence coin begins in 1968, 2 years before decimalization, when it was first introduced as a replacement for the shilling, which was worth 1/20th of a pound, and the idea was to ease the transition to the new decimalized monetary system, which officially launched on February 15, 1971, the pre-decimal shilling shared the same size and value as the early 5-pence coin, making the switch relatively smooth for the general public. When we reach the year 1990, we find ourselves at an important turning point in the evolution of the coin. Up until that year, the 5-pence coin retained the same size as the old shilling with a diameter of 23.59 millimeters and a weight of 5.65 grams and made of cupro-nickel, a blend of 75% copper and 25% nickel. The obverse of the coin featured the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Raphael Maklouf, introduced in 1985, which replaced the earlier portrait by Arnold Machine. This effigy by Maklouf is more mature and detailed, reflecting the passage of time and the continuing reign of the monarch. On the reverse side of the 5-pence coin from 1990, we find the iconic Badge of Scotland design featuring a crowned Scottish thistle. This design was created by Christopher Ironside and had been used on the reverse of the 5-pence coin since its inception in 1968. The thistle represents Scotland as one of the 4 nations of the United Kingdom, and the use of the crown emphasizes the sovereignty and unity under the British monarchy. The inclusion of this motif demonstrates the balance of national pride and royal symbolism that is typical of British coin design. By the late 1980s, there was a growing consensus that the 5-pence coin was too large and heavy for its relatively low face value. The economic context was shifting, and inflation meant that the purchasing power of the coin had declined significantly, and the Royal Mint undertook a major review of circulating coinage, leading to a redesign of several coins in the early 1990s. As a result, the year 1990 marks the final year that the larger 5-pence coin was minted for general circulation. After 1990, the Royal Mint introduced a smaller version of the 5-pence coin starting in 1990, with circulation beginning in 1991. The new coin had a diameter of only 18 millimeters and weighed 3.25 grams, still composed of cupro-nickel. It retained the same obverse and reverse designs, but its reduced size made it more economical to produce and easier to carry. This move was part of a broader effort to modernize the currency and to respond to changes in economic behavior, including the increasing use of digital payment methods and the reduced need for low-denomination coins in everyday transactions. The 1990 5-pence coin therefore holds a special place in numismatic history because it represents the final chapter in the life of the original large 5-pence coin. It is a transitional artifact marking the end of one era and the beginning of another for collectors. The 1990 coin is particularly interesting because it sits at the intersection of tradition and change. It is the last of its kind and carries the full weight of over 2 decades of British monetary evolution. Delving deeper into the minting statistics, the Royal Mint produced over 570 million large 5-pence coins between 1968 and 1990, and in 1990 alone, over 120 million 5-pence coins were struck for circulation. Despite the high mintage, the historical significance of the 1990 issue increases its appeal to collectors, especially those interested in complete date runs, or those focusing on the evolution of coin design and policy. Another important layer to consider when discussing the 5-pence coin is its cultural significance. Coins are more than just tools for trade. They are miniature ambassadors of national identity and historical memory. Every design choice, from the portrait of the Queen to the inclusion of a thistle, is a reflection of political and cultural narratives. When Queen Elizabeth II ascended the throne in 1952, the United Kingdom still had an empire that spanned the globe, but by 1990 the world had changed dramatically, and coins like the 5-pence became touchstones of continuity in an age of transformation. Moreover, the process of designing and approving new coins is itself a story of collaboration between artists, historians, policymakers, and the public. The selection of designs goes through multiple stages of review, and every element is carefully scrutinized to ensure that it reflects the dignity and heritage of the nation. The 5-pence coin from 1990 is no exception, and its enduring design is a testament to the work of Christopher Ironside and the Royal Mint. As we move further into the numismatic aspects, we can analyze die varieties errors and minting quirks that may exist in the 1990 issue, while no major errors are widely reported in this year. Examples of off-center strikes, double strikes, or planchet flaws may still be found by eagle-eyed collectors, and these anomalies can significantly enhance the value of a particular coin, especially if certified by a reputable grading service. Additionally, the collector market for 5-pence coins is strong, particularly among British and Commonwealth collectors, who often seek complete date runs or examples of every major design and size change. The 1995-pence coin is also popular among educators and historians who use it to illustrate the broader story of decimalization, economic modernization, and the cultural role of coinage. In terms of legal status, the 1995-pence coin remains legal tender in the United Kingdom, although its large size makes it less likely to be encountered in everyday use. Coins of this vintage are often withdrawn from circulation or held in private collections, but they still serve as a reminder of the monetary system that millions of people grew up with and used daily for decades. To close our deep dive into the story of the 1995-pence coin, we can appreciate it not just as a piece of metal, but as a compact historical document. It tells the story of Britain's changing economy, monarchy, culture, and identity. It bridges the old and the new and invites us to see the extraordinary in the ordinary.